Happy Friday, everyone. If you're watching, you made it. We got an action-packed show because the markets are moving. We're live at 9, ATI Pro Media, powered by Advanced Trading. Special announcement. It's our 200th live show. Somehow every day, Monday through Friday, we get together as a group and a team, and we go live every day at 9. Maybe someday we'll miss, and I'm sure there'll be a good reason. But we're here today and you're with us. Thanks for watching. I was telling a friend I was working out this morning. He's actually a judge in town. And he asked, how many people watch your live stream a day? And I said, a few hundred watch live and about 1,000 on the replay. We thank all of you for joining us. It's not by accident you're watching. We must be doing something right because the numbers are going up. The viewers are going up. We ask that you click, like, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That'll always let you know when we're putting out content. We have other people who contributed Advanced Trading. Our very own Brian Bassing putting out those Wednesday videos on corn and soybean. We go live on the USDA reports. Then we do that after the USDA report, that deep dive. Usually Michael Reginelli, Drew Moore, Brian, or a mix. Sometimes you see Nathan Duraco, Nathan Mangold, or any of the talented folks in the Bloomington office. So if you're out there, if you need help on the farmer marketing side, we'd love to work with you. If you're out there on the commercial side, well, if you're looking for help on the commercial side, I wonder what's going on. Maybe you're not happy. Maybe you need a different opinion, but it's 2024. We're still out there educating people, willing to work with people, explaining spreads, basis, futures, options, the whole deal. Headlines, unemployment number was today. Markets are moving. Grains, again, doing grain things, trading overnight, lower, coming back. We had a little crazy cow, a little incident out in Montana. We might talk about that. That rattled the cattle market yesterday, and that they didn't need that. With that, Connor built a great show. I've been in this pattern where I've been getting up early, working out, and that brings a happy, excited Tom Grisafia's show. Let's take it to LaSalle Street. We'll run through these real quick, and then Connor will be like, come on, let me on the show, guys. Board of Trade corn up 2. That's the D's corn. No beans up a half. They were up 6 a little bit ago. Reminder to yourself, change your quotes to December. We've rolled out a SEP. We're D's. We're quoting D's. D's meal up 37. D soil down 45. Board of Trade wheat up 4, KC up 2, Minneapolis down 2. Minneapolis has been really gaining against the others. Some quality issues out there. Live cattle, good to see, up 50. Feeders up 125. Lean hogs up 20. Take it to Wall Street. We had unemployment today. Are people working? How many people are working? How many people are looking for a job? Gold down 60. Silver down 72s. 5s, 10s, 30s. Interest rates going up just a tad bit, but they're still at almost yearly lows. 2s and 10s at the same price. Connor B will break that down. Crude oil up 93 cents. Folks, I told you yesterday and the day before, call the fuel guy. Harvest is going to happen. We had $68, $69 fuel. That puts red diesel at about $2.50. What's red in your area? Natural gas creeping back up, $22.73. We spent a little time below 2,000. Not anymore. Dow Jones up 100. NASDAQ down 200. S&P's down 16. Bitcoin kind of slumping, 56,000 Bitcoin. Dr. Copper, 41.11. Connor B, what did you build for a show today? Thank you for being on so many of these shows and producing so much great content. We had some really positive emails overnight, and I'm sure with our 200th episode, we'll get some more today.
Yeah, good deal. I love doing it, Tommy. When I'm not on, I'm like, man, I had some good things to talk about, right?
Oh, usually the producer Rick. There's producer Rick. He's live on the show.
Gosh.
He just
Rick.
No.
If you pop in, you got to tell us something.
Do
smart.
that
Hey.
and then pop out. Some people want all the show. Full screen on Rick because he had to steal the show.
Give
What's
us a
going on?
quick message. Anything you want to talk about?
Hey, of all days, we're having technical problems back here, and you see me.
We
in
never
the,
have technical
phone booth.
problems.
Yeah. So
Nobody puts baby in the closet. Look at you. How big's that room? 2 by 3, 3 by 2?
It's 6 by 6, maybe 6 by 8.
They have larger jail cells in solitary confinement than what you're in right now. Thank you for everything you've done. Joe wants to come on because he's like, oh, let me in. Joe didn't do his hair yet. There he is. He didn't do his hair. My brother, Joe Grisafi, he's in Cherville, Indiana. I'm in Valparaiso, Indiana. Producer Rick's in Bloomington, Illinois. Connor B, Assumption, Illinois, south of Rick. It's been fun. It's been a year since we started this. We've had so much fun. What do you guys think?
Absolute fun.
We never let Joe talk. Say something, Joe.
I think it's been an absolute blast. A lot of work for everybody, but it's been fun.
With ceiling fan keeping Joe cool there. Joe heats up. I don't know if you know this about Joe, but he's always hot. He's like traveling with grandma, wants the air on high. I got a winter coat on down here. But yeah, we got a full studio here. Tommy the dog's down here. Everyone asks, how did Tommy the dog get his name? Tommy Connor, he was adopted with that name. I did not name him.
Sure. He's Tommy Jr., T-Bone Jr.
Hey,
Yeah,
Tommy.
Well,
Tommy, I'm going to put you on the spot.
let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, you guys, you use the phrase dead cat bounce from time to time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when that was first used? When it originated?
Well, if you're going to tell me some sick animal stories where people were throwing cats off the buildings and they weren't bouncing, we're going to get censored. No, do
When
tell.
was it?
Do tell. Okay, dead cat bounce. The earliest known use of the phrase in the news media was in 1985, when journalists referenced a small recovery in the declining stock markets of Singapore and Malaysia as a dead cat bounce. The idea behind the term is that even if a dead cat was dropped off from a great height, it might briefly bounce upon hitting the ground.
I would have guessed
Rick.
it was I would have guessed Great Depression era. I would have never thought it would have been the 80s. Interesting.
Well, you tune in, you learn something new every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Good
thanks
stuff.
everyone. Connor built a
Thanks,
great show.
guys.
Absolutely fun. Hey, real quick for y'all go, Joe,
Yep.
Rick, you plan something like this and it doesn't always go as you think it went different in a better way, but from what we planned, what has been your favorite part here in 200 episodes and about 25 practice rounds?
Favorite parts is seeing how far you guys have come. We should run some bloopers from
We
our
will.
early practice sessions. They were miserable. And you guys have come such a long way. In fact, you remember the critique sheets that I used to send? Like,
Oh, we used to get
you
stars.
Very
daggers,
well.
you can-
I'm
guys have-
still gunning for 5 stars. That's always been my
Rick will
goal.
lose a couple stars today for going
Yep.
rogue.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny.
Stuff
I saw it
happens.
spinning. I'm like, oh my God, he's coming on. Mute his mic. Jojo, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part's the commentary from our subscribers and from the ATI Pro Media Premium and this show is seeing all the commentary and them thanking us personally for giving out the information that we give out, because education is what we strive to give people. I mean, obviously in the free show, we're not giving out quite as much as we do when we get into premiums, but it's so nice to hear it because I've had call after call on how much insight that we give people to try to protect their crops, and they just love it. They love it, and it's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, well said.
Oh, good. Well, we'll be doing more of this. I bought a Starlink today. Starlink, Elon Musk internet thing, and I'll be traveling across America visiting clients. Next week, folks, I'll be in North Dakota. I don't think I'll have that Starlink by then, but who knows? I can hit click really quick, and it might be here tomorrow. But the world's changed, and part of the reason we can't do this remotely is because of internet, right? I need decent quality internet, and there's a crazy guy who sold eBay and then started a couple companies, and then he might own something called X. We might be broadcasting on it right now, right?
Sometimes Brady and I can't do it in our own offices because of internet, right? That's the
interesting
we
you
love
say that.
being in the Corn Belt, but my gosh, sometimes the internet issues really catch
Well,
up.
I'd get you Starlink, but accounting's been tough lately, so
Fiber's right there. Fiber's right
oh,
there.
it's
Tommy.
so
It's
close.
coming.
You can almost touch it. The fiber is so close. That's really cool. Once you get fiber, you feel like you've been living in a cave for. I don't have fiber. I'm just on Comcast internet at home. Hey, while we've been talking, folks, when we started the show, beans were up 5. They're down 5 now. So
Let's
we
jump
better
into
get
that,
to work.
Tommy.
Chop,
Yeah.
chop, chop.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Joe and
guys.
Rick.
Couldn't
They're
do it
never-
without you.
they're
Seriously.
Have a good show.
And that's what I was going to look at, Tommy, is I wanted to look at a little chart because this price action, right? We opened overnight, D's corn high of 416. Right now, it's only up a couple cents at 412, right? We're really knocking on the door of resistance.
You want me to pop
Soybeans,
up a chart?
yeah, let's do it. Let's look
Okay.
at soybeans,
This
especially
is
too,
East corn,
because
I believe.
that's a quick. We're talking high on no soybeans 1031, and we're at 1020. So looking at corn, the line chart doesn't quite get it as well as a candlestick, but you can get the idea that 412 up to what, Tommy, 414 maybe we'll say, is that we're really hitting that resistance. It's going to be interesting price action today. Interesting to see where we close and what the sentiment is going into the weekend. And so where you got that line at up to 420.
Yeah, about
right?
423. Yeah, just call it simple math. We're simple guys. You get above 425, and people are going to start saying, boy, we've come a long way. If we can hold 425 for multiple days and stay above it, well, then you got all this. That's just no man's land.
Well, and
Seriously.
I think we need to get above that we need to have a good close today, and then the next level of resistance is going to be that 423, 425.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you want to look at beans?
Yeah, let's look at beans.
I just want to apologize for all 200 episodes I spoke over you. I don't know if I can do anything about it, but
I'm sure you're going to change on the next 200, Tommy.
I'll
It's
draw
good.
lines. You talk, buddy.
I tell you what, when you're working with Tom Grisafi, your improv is so good. You never know where the show's going to go, right? We go live, but guess what? It's live for me too. We don't have sometimes a whole lot of planning. So looking at soybeans, again, I think the candlestick tells a little bit more of a story, but you get the gist on we're knocking on that resistance. We see soybeans pulling back, and then that next line looks like it's at that 1045, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I look at those, right, harvest, it started, I drove yesterday, I drove Central Illinois to kind of the west side of the state. I saw 5 fields getting opened up, Tommy. And so I think we're still early, maybe a week out from full bore, but it's upon us. And so when I look at these resistance levels, looking at charts, right, if we're undersold, I talk about it a lot. If we know grain is going to move this fall, either we've got to make a decision or the decision is going to be made for us. And so if we're knocking on the door of these resistance levels, to me, if we're thinking about selling, it's not a bad time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's not, and Connor, it's not just thinking about selling. We have to sell. So I've been very aggressive with clients lately saying, okay, joke's over. Whatever plan you had didn't work out. It's go time. If you want us, me, all of us to help you manage the risk of the bushel, these beans are going to town, and we need to do something about it. All right.
Yeah,
be careful. You asked for it. Hey, Farmer Brett, which wheat? Be specific. Board of Trade, KC, Minneapolis. You gotta.
If Brett,
how do you like your eggs? Over easy? How do you want them? All right, we'll start with. I'm gonna go KC for that.
I was gonna say I think he's a Kansas. Yeah, he's in Kansas.
Yeah. All right, here we go. KC wheat. These. Oh, by the way, the moving averages are still the 200 and 100. Those are very solid lines, right? Like we're coming back. We can actually see the 100-day moving average in all these charts. It's really great.
Yeah. KC wheat, me in Illinois, I'm going to be honest. I'm looking at Chicago wheat. I don't really look at KC wheat. Interesting run up. We need to pull up Chicago after this because nice run up, pulling back just barely on KC wheat, but nice run up. Where's that line when we corrected, Tommy, and then we chopped around? Is that right? Looks like $6. I mean, right around $6.
Yeah, a lot of chopping around $6. Correct.
Yeah. Good
That's on the KC. Let's. I got to tell you. I bought wheat for a few clients. They wanted to buy options. I'm like, Board of Trade wheat has a 4 in front of it. If you're scared to buy Board of Trade wheat with a 4 in front of it, then you shouldn't be doing this. And maybe it was in the September contract, but let me go back to that. I mean, look at this, folks. Buy me calls. Well, you've been a farmer your whole life. You're long your whole life. Are you telling me you're scared to buy 495 wheat futures? And they were, and there's a good reason. They were long too much of everything else. That's the reason why to buy the calls, because they weren't managing the risk. But for me, as a speculator, I was not scared to buy wheat at 510, 5. Of course, they had to go to 493 before it went back up. It always goes against you before it goes back up. What do you think of this chart, Connor?
Yeah, similar story, right? It's easy for me, right? I'm not in big wheat country. I should preface that when I'm saying, but when I look at that, it's easy to forget it. We've had a nice run up on wheat. And so give me the line again on Chicago where we started chopping around after we broke, right? Is that
in this area? We're going to go 580 to 620.
580, 620. Okay.
And then we broke, and now we're back up towards that 580. We are definitely testing, someone who maybe sent some wheat to the elevator and bought a few months of storage. That might have worked. I know we're not big advocates of paying for storage, but you won, right? You paid a nickel, you paid a dime for a few months. Here you go. You got your rally, turn that wheat into cash. Now, if we continue to sell off for a long time, that may be a problem. Hey, folks, if you're out there, questions, comments, we're going to go long today. It's 200th anniversary of doing this live. Connor B, Tommy G, Rick Joe Brady's traveling today, unless all of a sudden he just comes on Rogue. Everyone else has, why not, right? But we love to educate you. Now on this show, it's free. On premium, we ask you that you pay a little. It's not outrageous to ask for $1 a day for premium content. What else do you have for the show, Connor B?
Yeah, let's jump out of grains for just a second. We're going to come back in, but let's talk rate cuts, 2-year, 10-year. Tommy, give us a little color. I'm going to read you a headline. First one we had is fewer jobs than expected in August. Labor market slowing a little bit, but what it's paving the way for is all eyes, full steam ahead. We're looking at that rate cut for September. 51% chance of a half-point rate cut for the September Fed meeting, up 40% from yesterday. We saw Fed Chair Williams, what he said, time has arrived to start rate cuts. We're going there. Tommy, give us our thoughts. That's your expertise, right?
Expertise. Well, I have spent a lot of time in the 10-year note pit and the bond pit at the Board of Trade. The bond market is massive. It's huge. If you think trading corn's huge, it's nothing like the bond market. So we grow $60 billion worth of corn a year. The United States government's offering that many T-bills, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, daily, 30 years. There's so much money floating around. So when you look at the world of finance, you got to talk currencies, bonds, stocks, and commodities. Those are the big four. And not only do we have a bond market, but the Japanese have a bond market, and the Germany has a bond market, and so many people have bonds. And there is big money and big bets flying around on 2s versus 10s. And when the 2 spent as much time as it did above the 10, everyone said we're going to go into a massive recession or some type of recession. Massive would be dramatic. But here we are, 2s and 10s are equal. Dow Jones is at 41,000 and the world didn't end. We have an election in 60 days and life goes on. Like I told our friend and co-worker, Tom Barry, he was all upset about what he thinks might happen with the election. I said, unless they stop trading Board of Trade corn futures and options, I'm going to be okay. I live in Valparaiso, Indiana. I always drive down Main Street. And when you look left, you look right, you can't see who's elected. So you got to go about and understand that America's about doing business. Farming's about doing business. Now, there are things that happen politically that could affect exports. And speaking of exports, sure. If I caught this right, listening. Yes, sir?
I was going to say, before you jump another topic, right?
I do that once in a while.
I want to pull up this chart. I've been trying to do it. You were talking about the 10-year versus the 2-year, right? And we've been it's been a negative spread for how long? Almost 4 years. We're just creeping in. And so that's been the story for a while, is when we see that get inverted, then we see a recession, right? Nate Mangold sent us this, and it's just getting. So who knows? It might just be correlation doesn't equal causation, but interesting to see. And so I just wanted to add some color.
Right.
Back to you, Tommy.
Well, thank you. From a money standpoint, it doesn't make sense if you're just a simple person. You say, you mean if I give someone money overnight, they'll give me a way higher rate than if I gave them money for 10 years? And that answer was yes. And so in the old days, when I was a kid trading bonds, people would buy 10-year notes because they were yielding 6%, but the 2-year was only yielding 3%. And we went to an inverted yield curve. And anyone who understands Top Gun, when he says, hey, we were inverted, that's how he took that picture, and they gave him the bird, the Soviets, whatnot, But we spent a lot of time in it. It really affects money. And it really affects, if you want to know why there's such a problem in new equipment and used equipment, that inverted yield curve would be such the culprit. And the Fed wanted that to happen so that they could slow the economy that was moving too fast. And when things move too fast, they create inflation. Now, many people, like my friend Scott the Cow Guy, thinks if they go a half-point rate cut, will spur inflation. And that's the Fed's worst nightmare, that they wait, start cutting rates, and then inflation starts coming back up. That's hard to deal with. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, well said. And so with that, Tommy, I got a few good charts. We've talked a little bit about exports, South America. I pulled these up. Let me pull them in. And guess what? Brush up on your Portuguese, because it is in Portuguese. But only thing you have to do is just get the sentiment. This is going to be Brazil's soybean planting window. And as you can see, if we're looking, October, right, is the window where they plant the majority of their soybean crop. red line is last year, as you can see, when we started getting delayed, right? That's when soybeans, if you remember, we ran above $14 soybeans. The fear was they weren't gonna get them planted. Well, guess what? We got them in. But so we look at that, and then I got one more, right? I'm going to try and paint a picture here. This is going to be precipitation in Mato Grosso, Brazil. And so that red line down there, Tommy, is going to be how far behind or how low precipitation is right now. We've got a long way to go, right? We're pre-planning. If October is their planning window, it'd be like here being really dry, maybe in March. And so it's reason for concern, right? Not a whole lot of rain forecasted, but if we start ticking up and they start getting that. And so what I'm looking at is if we're looking at the South America planting window, it presents opportunities that I think we need to take advantage of as a U.S. farmer. And so we'll see where that goes. We'll see if it stays dry and that planting keeps getting delayed. Because the other thing is, the longer we delay planting, the more our export window remains open. And so we'll see where that goes, but I think it's worth paying attention to. And if we're looking at 24 and 25 crop beans, right, we've got the election in November. We've got this uncertainty. Other thing we have is Dr. Cruz. I think he hosted quite a few South American Brazilian farmers.
Let's cue that up.
Pictures. And so that's the other thing we got to think about is what are they going to plant, right? Is the profitability in corn versus are they going to plant a little bit more soybeans? Fun things to look at. Look at that crowd.
I love that gray wall.
You had to get that in there, didn't you?
I mean, they can't make me not talk, right?
Yeah.
That group knows how to speak Portuguese. Run that one more time. That is so impressive that we work with someone like Dr. Cesar Cruz. That shows the depth of advanced trading and what we're doing here. Because we always ask him to do a quick 15, 20-minute speech, and it's usually an hour 10. But that's because he has so much wealth of knowledge. It takes him that long to get it out of his brain, and he's the best in the industry, giving us such a strong relationship with our friends in South America. Hey, did you read the notes from he sent out an email last night at like 11 o'clock? Those notes were interesting. If I can't pull up my email right now,
I'll do my best.
If you do, we won't be able to hear or see you. So phrase it up as best you remember.
So the thing that stuck out to me is that the profitability isn't really in corn for Brazil, right? They're looking whether it's disease, right? Parts of Brazil are thinking of that leafhopper disease, but then also just the money's not there, and so are they going to plant a little bit more soybeans? But then also looking at other crops, right? Talking about cotton was mentioned, and just maybe diverting from corn. So the vibe Dr. Cruz was getting was not a whole lot of corn acres, a little bit more, right? A little bit more soybean acres. The other thing, he had a chart. I can't pull it up, but it just said how much of pre-booked seed fertilizers that was for the safrina crop, right? The crop they're going to plant in around 4, 5, 6 months. Don't quote me on that time frame.
Yeah, let's break that down premium next week. We'll just, whether he's on or not. There's a wealth of information in that email he sent last night.
Yes, what I was trying to say though is they're significantly behind previous years for what they've booked, right? Not we've got a long way to go. Nothing saying that could flip, but they're waiting and seeing before they start making that decision. It's not an easy easy pencil to say, yeah, we're going to plant this corn because the profitability is there. It's not, but time will tell.
Good stuff. Boys and girls, thanks for watching. The markets are sinking. We're not done yet. We got a lot to talk about. Yesterday for premium, I broke down the curve. Selling March corn futures, selling March corn options. I had a client who said, I wish you would teach us how to sell corn futures and sell options in our own account. Full discretion that is a very, very, very marginable position. But when you open a futures and options account, we explain that, you sign off on that. And I'm okay with it if you're okay with it. If you understand it, I understand it, and your banker understands it, because here's the deal. If you sell an option for 16 cents, there's no stopping what it can go to. But I know this, you can only make 16 cents. And if you sell a future, because we're in a really, really, really bearish scenario, we're in a really bearish scenario till we're not. And so things change. But anyway, we have some clients specifically who asked to start selling March futures, May futures, March calls, May calls. Again, that is a marginable position, but I want to show you real quick what that looks like from my trading software. And if you need a picture to see it, this should do it justice. Go ahead and I'll point you talk, Connor. What do we got here?
Yeah, just looking, it's a visual for looking at the spreads, right? We talk about the carry in the market. And so it's nice. I feel like we talk about it a lot, right? We stare at these numbers all day, but it's nice to see the visual. And so what it's showing us is that we have what Tommy's got his mouse over is we have carry in the market. But when you go all the way out, definitely out to SEP 25, it tapers down, right? It gets a little inverted versus July. But even going out to July, we look at that carry. To me, I don't think there's a whole lot of money. It's not the market telling us, yes, absolutely right now we need to hold corn all the way out to July, right? When I look at this, stop me if you disagree, Tommy. I look at March and a little bit May, and that's where I see the opportunity, and that's where I'd have hedges in right now. And so,
yeah. That's what it's saying. That's as of this minute, this second on 9/6/2024. These lines move all day, all night. And I was thinking when I went to premium, I wish I could show them in a picture. I'm like, no, my software can do that. And we'll do more of these. So I think next week I'm going to do this again on this one. And I'm going to break down the forward curve in corn, wheat, and beans. I'd like to do the wheat one with Brady. If you and I could do the corn and beans, then we'll send that out to a bundle. We'll have Amy bundle it up and say, here are the forward curves in corn, wheat, and beans, and we'll send that out as premium content. And I think that
sounds great because
a day.
That's something we haven't done. The past 2 years, there hasn't been carry in the market. Last year we had a little bit of carry, but when you factored in interest costs, right, I don't think it made sense to capitalize on that carry and store corn significantly. The market has changed in 2024. We need to be ready. Are we making sure our bin bushels are working for us? Looking at that carry, as you said, that number changes daily. Right now, carry out to July, I don't know if it quite makes sense, but guess what? If these that 183 national yield, if it gets a little bit bigger, who knows? That carry is going to widen, and we're going to see that change dramatically. So I think that sounds like a great premium idea, Tom.
Yeah, and to frame up what Connor just said, the corn market had the same spread the 2s and 10s did, where the front month was paying you to sell it now, and you could actually go buy the back month and own it 10, 20, 30, 40 cents cheaper. So the very way the bond market was, the curve of the bond market was the same as the curve of the corn market, if you need to see that. If we're talking about anything, you need a visual, we got all types of ways of getting your charts, graphs, everything else. Not always easy to do on a live show. All right, questions, comments, hit them. 200th anniversary of ATI Pro Media live at 9. Thanks for everything.
Is it a breakout or a dead cat bounce? Brett, number one, if you were paying attention, dead cat bounce term originated in the 80s, right? If we take anything away. But we're looking at soybeans right now. Soybeans down 6, Tommy. And so definitely pulling back, right? Time will tell. We'll see what next week brings, but not necessarily the price action we were looking for this Friday on soybeans and corn pulling back as well.
Farmer Brett, he going full Tourette's with the questions. I love it, Farmer Brett. With bonds moving down, it forces people in stocks. Do you think it would force more money in grains too? Interesting. Well, that is going to allow some cash into the economy. I will tell you this, and it's not an answer, it's just a statement. When we started the show, the Dow was up 225, it's down 200. So just in our little chit chat, our 200th anniversary, the Dow broke 400 points. There's a lot of volatility hitting the stock market. Also, I was thinking about this yesterday, Connor, and I forgot to bring it up, but people like myself or others, or I know this group of people who trade a lot of managed money, they are already starting to lighten positions into the election. And they are taking risk off. And there's very much of a risk off. Let's see how this goes for many Americans, right? Maybe you're thinking about making a major purchase and you're like, I just want to get through the election. There's a lot of, I want to get through the election. If you didn't know there was election, it's life as normal. But for many Americans, because we're so connected with the iPhone, internet, and technology, that we know there's election. We're about 60 days out. Rick let me know yesterday that you are now many states allowed to vote. I know RFK was trying to get his name pulled off the ballot so nobody would vote for him, trying to swing those votes to Trump. Going to be interesting. Yeah, Luke, thanks to, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say back to Brett's question, with money moving into equities, right? It's not necessarily a tit for tat. We saw low interest rates, money moving into stocks, right? I go back to, let's go 2014 to 2020, right? Interest rates were relatively low. Stock market was on fire. And guess what? We had enough grain in the world. We saw the big carry markets like there's potential to see down the road. Next question. Luke, thanks to Brady on his "This Is Me Pushing You to Sell" video with regards in particular to wheat. Absolutely, Luke. We should revisit that one. Great video by Brady.
If you're out there, you're a new subscriber, or even if you're not a subscriber, you hit us up, info@ATI Pro Media. I'll send you that one for free, because that was Brady. He goes, we gotta do a video like we're begging you to sell, we're begging you to protect, and then we'll go back in our time capsule and see if it makes sense. Well, it made so much sense it actually hurts to watch it. So great.
Ooh,
thank you.
This one's for you, Tommy. Would the farmer be better off if the pits in Chicago were still open? What are your thoughts?
No, because there was too much nepotism in Chicago, and there was too many humans. And although for me, maybe I may have a greater advantage if the pits were still open, but because of technology, you can literally go on any device and buy or sell corn futures, and buy and sell and participate in options. So the pits closing have leveled the playing field for the world. So the very reason I can buy a camper and live in any city I want in America with Starlink internet, and I still have my membership at the exchange and then still own a seat, is because of that that access to that platform. The CME owns that platform. Now, that very much hurt my income, because in the old days, there was a group of 1,402 people who had full seats, who had an advantage to the club. So not only to answer your question, but to challenge you, you're all invited to be part of the club. Why aren't you? What do you need to get better educated, to have all the advantages I have, we have, etc.? While you're asking me that question, I actually sold 10 corn futures, and they're half cent my way. So the world's changed. But great question. Thank you.
Oh man, we got one more, and let's get out. 200 show, and it's going to be the longest ever, right? Joe's already checked out. He's like, get the heck off here, guys.
Joe had a cup of coffee, went to the bathroom, came back. He's like, they're still going.
Yeah.
My mom and dad are watching too, by the way.
Here we go. What are basis market outlooks, Central Kansas in particular? And so the basis outlook, it's going to be very regionalized, right? Every area is different. I'll tell you, if we're looking at big yields in your area, right? I'll talk. I know you asked for Central Kansas, but I'll talk my area. These elevators, we have old crops still in the bin. It's not like previous years where we're going into harvest empty. We've got potential for some big yields. My question would be, why does basis have to get better, right? What is going to throw this better? Is it going to be this massive demand, right? Either grain going out east or going down the river. I don't see it, right, in my area, and I think Central Kansas might be in this boat too. If we've got the good yields, basis doesn't necessarily need to get better, even if you're not happy with it right now. And so for the next 60, 90 days, I think we'll see that we could potentially, see that basis really weaken into harvest if we see that gut slot harvest time frame. And then once we get into the winter, that's when we'll start evaluating different factors. What's South America going to be? What's our demand? What's our export outlook? And go from there.
Yeah, send us an email if you want a really deep dive in that. Brady or Troy on the commercial side could really do that, right? Yeah. And email info@ATI Pro Media, Brady, Huck, Troy. They're out there. It does help to work with someone from an area, and it's how brokers become so good regionally. And then someone likes them, but they live in a state so far away that they're like, God, I like you, but yet you don't understand what's going on in my area. So we're lucky enough as a company that we have enough people in enough areas to really smooth out that. It'd be hard to have clients in every state and live somewhere. And if you're going to be a great cash trader, basis trader, the spreads, futures, options, we all have access to that.
Yep. Well said. So, all right. 35-minute show, Tommy.
It's a short one. Look at Joe. Yeah. Hey, everyone, if you're out there, thanks for being with us. 200 episodes. Send us an email. We'll give away a couple flags. We got cups. We got rain gauges. Tell us what you want. Don't be greedy. Don't say all three. Here's your choices. A couple rain gauges, a coffee cup, ATI coffee cup, or an American flag. We'll send out a little bit of those. Info at ATI Pro Media, 1-855-737-FARM. Love. It would make my weekend if you subscribe to ATI Pro Media Premium. We're putting out better stuff, and it's because we're putting out what you're asking for. With that, Gina G is going to close it up once I find the buttons. And where did those buttons go? They move them on me all the time. So many buttons here. And you know why? Because we've had so many great people come on the show and so much fun stuff. From Tom Grisafi in Valparaiso, Indiana, Connor Bridgman in Assumption, Illinois, Joe, producer Joe in Cherville, and Mr. Rick, who went rogue in Bloomington, Illinois. It's an absolute pleasure doing this every day. We will see you, God willing, on Monday. Good night.
Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.